Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are cinematographer, director Don Argott, and award-winning director Elina de Santos. Director, cinematographer, producer Don Argott grew up in New Jersey and graduated from the Art Institute in Philadelphia. He opened a production company after college and worked on commercial and corporate videos and a lot of short films. In 2002, after leaving Minnie Mace,
Yes.
was that it?
Yeah.
Minnie Mace Pro.
Mm-hmm.
That was a funny title,
Yeah,
Minnie
sorry.
Mace Pro Pictures. He started a new company with Sheena Joyce, and what is it called?
9/14 Pictures.
And why is it 9/14?
9/14 is September 14th is my birthday.
And it's 9.14, so I didn't
Right.
know how you
That's
said
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Were you planning solely to make documentaries when you opened this company?
Not necessarily. I had just finished with my other production company, and we were doing a lot of corporate work and
They were all
commercial work.
short things,
Yeah,
right?
shorter form things, and I'd always wanted to do longer form projects, and it just so happened that the first project that I felt that would be worthwhile was a documentary that we started called Rock School.
Tell us about that. Rock School is
Sure.
pretty cool, right?
Yeah. We followed. There's a school in Philadelphia called the Paul Green School of Rock Music, and what it is this guy Paul Green teaches kids 9 to 17 how to play rock and roll. And so we followed the season in the life of kind of Paul Green, and it did really well. And we finished the film in 2004, and we premiered at the LA Film Festival and sold it to Newmarket Films, and they released it in 2005, and it did really well. And there was
Did
a lot
it play festivals?
Yeah, we did Sundance and South by Southwest in Seattle.
You were dealing with a live person then, compared to the Art of the Steal, where
Right.
we're dealing with someone who isn't with us anymore.
Right.
Was in Rock School, was he cooperative? Was he happy?
Oh yeah, he was. I think it was definitely like a warts and all kind of portrayal of this guy. He's a really intense.
Yeah, that's
guy.
what you wonder how
Yeah.
they take it.
Yeah, and so it's always curious when you show them the final cut, like how they're going to see themselves as other people see them for the first time. And I think it was a little jarring at first for Paul. But I think as soon as we started screening it for audiences, and he was getting laughs, and I think he got a lot more comfortable with the idea of like being up on the big screen.
Afterwards, yeah, because it's pretty hard. Did you write it, or do you?
No,
how do you shoot it?
We basically, we do our documentaries very kind of pretty low budget, and we do it with small crews, so we don't go in with a lot of equipment and lights and stuff, because all that stuff I think is pretty intimidating, especially when you're walking into other people's environments and you want them to feel comfortable. So I primarily shoot everything, and Sheena.
Yeah, you're your own cinematographer.
Yes, yeah.
I thought that was great. I was
so
going like, oh yes, I'm the director, but I'm also
Yeah.
shooting it, asking the questions.
Right.
And
Well, Sheena actually does all the questions.
I
So,
heard a woman's voice.
yeah, she and I like come up with all the questions prior to the interviews, and then she'll ask the questions, and I'll shoot, and then that's really it. And we have a sound person, so we're a pretty small crew. So I think that's part of how we get people to open up to us.
And it's digital.
It's digital.
It's
We shot in
digital, right.
high definition.
So we were talking about Rock School. Then a kind of an interesting film, 2 Days in April,
Yes.
which is about the
NFL
draft.
Yeah.
How did you think of doing that?
That was yet another project that kind of came after the success of Rock School. We got approached by Red Envelope Productions, which is part of Netflix, and they were looking.
So then they came to you.
They came to us and said, we have this idea of doing a film about the NFL draft and following these 4 college football players. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, it sounds great. And so we did that, and so that came out in 2007, and then right when we were kind of looking for our next project, Lenny Feinberg had approached us about doing this film about the Barnes Foundation, and Lenny is a real estate guy who grew up in the area of the Barnes, and he was taking classes at the Barnes about 20 years ago and had been following the story. And so he'd approached us about...
So you were approached again on
Yes,
that?
yeah.
And 2 days in April, probably, did it have as many interviews?
There's a lot of interviews in it, but it was more character driven, where we primarily focused on these 4 college football players.
Okay, so we're talking about the art of the steal,
Yes.
which is, here it is, museum
is.
seeks to sell art.
Yeah.
Barnes board, change needed.
Yeah, I mean, you could see in the newspaper clippings that and you can see how old they date back to, that this is a story that's been going on for quite some time.
So Lenny came to you, but then did that actually lead you to the project?
Yeah, he basically came to us and said, you know, would you be interested in doing this film on the Barnes Foundation? And we said, you know, I said, I actually don't know anything about it, so tell me about it. He kind of pitched the idea to us, which was, you know, the Barnes Foundation is this very small art gallery outside of Philadelphia, about 5 miles outside of Philadelphia, that was primarily, you know, constructed as an art education institution.
I see. But the collection isn't all in that building, is it?
No, it's all in the building.
It's all in that one building. Isn't it a house?
It was, well, it's an extension of where Barnes used to live. So he built Paul Cray, who's a famous architect, built the foundation's building, and that's where they used that's where they housed all the art.
Okay, so what was in the collection? Why was it so fantastic?
Well, Barnes was collecting. He made, you know, he became a millionaire early on,
But tell us what he did, because that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, he created a product called Argyrol with another scientist. Argyrol, back in the day in the 1900s, in like 1910, probably like 1918. It's basically silver nitrate, and basically they would put it in the eyes of infants,
every
baby that was born. So
and
it was
he developed it with a partner, I guess.
Yes, yeah. So he developed that and became, you know, billionaire as a result.
But besides becoming a billionaire, he went out and bought all this impressionist art.
At the time when no one was buying it, and these were his contemporaries. So Matisse was alive.
That was the thing, yeah.
Cezanne and Renoir. I mean, he was buying from them when they were still living.
Yeah, that's what was so interesting.
Yeah.
Because he actually put his trust in their work.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have loved it, but he did put his trust in that. He made friends with those people?
Yeah, he was very, he had a very long relationship with Henri Matisse, and Matisse actually, he commissioned Henri Matisse to paint the La Dance, which are the ringlets that are inside the window.
Oh, he did? He came to Philadelphia and painted it?
Yeah, well, he actually sketched it out, and I think he did it in Europe. And then
brought
he installed it. Yeah.
Because the dance is in Russia. The original piece was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, so you went to school in Philadelphia. So did you know it well? I mean, did you
I didn't know it at
decide
all.
to stay? You didn't know it at all?
I didn't. I went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia, but it wasn't a fine arts program. It was a film and video program.
But then how did you know enough people to get these interviews?
I mean, part of it was diving into the story and doing the research that we needed to do, and then based on the research, we decided who we were going to contact to do interviews. And we wanted early on to get people that were directly connected with the story.
So you made a list, obviously.
Made a list, right.
Did someone help you? Did Lenny help you?
It was primarily not. I mean, Lenny had come to us as basically the filmmakers and the production company
with money.
Yes, he funded it.
Because it's an independent film.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he was really burning to tell this story, and he felt really passionate about it. And you know, he approached us and said that he was going to finance it. But
no money came from the Barnes Foundation.
Oh God, no! The Barnes wouldn't cooperate with us at all.
Can you imagine? What did they do with the money? Was it scandalous in a way?
A lot of what's gone on, you know, the film covers probably close to almost 100 years of history within the Barnes Foundation, and you know, there's been a ton of mismanagement over the years. Barnes wrote a very strict, you know, indenture of trust, which was his will of what he wanted to have happen when he passed on, and how he wanted the school maintained. And
it was the school is what he was so interested in.
Absolutely.
It wasn't really the art, was it? It was
it was the art.
I mean, it was the art, but it was the school to educate.
Yeah, it was all about art education, and it has become over the years, not surprisingly, more about tourism and getting, you know, and getting tourists to
Of
go see it,
course.
which is not a dirty word or anything like that, but you know, it was primarily for the educational institute.
But it's interesting because those classes were very small.
Very small, yeah.
So only a few people at a time
Yeah.
were privy to
Yeah.
this billion-dollar collection.
Yeah.
Billions and billions.
Billions and billions, yeah.
Okay, so you decided who you were going to interview.
Mm-hmm.
Barnes, we don't know what how the money was managed or mismanaged. It seems like you were heavily one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And why did that happen?
Well, it's part of the whole one-sided, you know, criticism is that the other side wouldn't talk to us. So, you know, it's very.
Were those the obstacles you came upon?
Those are a lot of the obstacles we came upon, and primarily, you know, it was the people at the Barnes Foundation. It was the Pew Charitable Trust, the Annenberg Foundation, Bernie Watson, who's on the board of trustees. I mean, these are the people that we're very critical of, and they don't have a voice in the film because they declined to be interviewed.
Okay.
So, you know, yes, it's one-sided because the only people that would talk were the people on the other side that were opposing the move of the foundation.
Yeah, and why didn't they want it moved?
Why didn't
Barnes want it moved?
Well, the whole thing was that he set this building
Mr.
up.
Barnes, I mean. Why
Albert
didn't
Barnes,
yeah.
I mean, the whole point of where he was very particular how he wanted the school set up. He built his foundation in a very specific place, and it was for a very specific reason, which was art education, and it's on the grounds of a beautiful arboretum, and the building is totally a work of art in itself.
Well,
so,
the picture, your film depicts all of that so beautifully,
Yeah.
and you've used so much archival film. Where'd you get all the archival?
The archival stuff came actually from a former teacher that taught at the Barnes, and that film was actually under his bed. And he never even knew it was on it, so he had given it to us.
And I want to ask this because was the car accident that he died in a really up and up car accident?
Yeah. No. There's a lot of conspiracy in the film. I don't think that the car accident was
not
real.
that you said that, but it's just when I was reading the notes and thinking about the film, I was wondering, maybe something, you know, these people knew that he had so much there.
No, I think it was more like he was so much his own person, and I had actually read accounts that, you know, he couldn't be bothered with stop signs.
Oh,
so I think it was more his you know, his doing more than anybody else.
So when you started this project, did you feel the same way when you started it as at the end?
Well, I think we set out to really try to tell the story the best that we could, and we didn't go into it with any kind of agenda or any ideas.
You didn't.
No,
you weren't
not at all.
thinking you know.
No, not at all, not at all. And I think just by the way that the story unfolds and a lot of the things that we uncovered, I mean, it was very clear that there was what was happening was not what Albert Barnes wanted to have happen.
Right, that's what I always thought.
And so I like to say, everybody says that, you know, the film has an opinion and an agenda, and it's certainly slanted in that way, but we felt like we told the film through Dr. Barnes's eyes, and that's really what it's all about. It's not what I personally think it should be, it's what Barnes wanted it to be.
I saw that collection years and years ago, and it was so phenomenal when you walk in and it's all hung gallery style, like from top to bottom, and with different little kind of things mixed in that aren't really like Matisse quality stuff.
Right, like door hinges.
Yeah, and African art, which he was a big
and Pennsylvania
collector
Dutch furniture. Yeah.
It was.
It's a magnificent place. It's really special, and I think that's really what the film is mostly about. Is that they're destroying what is really special and significant and turning it into something that is ordinary. And that's a shame.
Well, you brought that picture to us, and I thank you so much for doing it.
Thanks, Joan.
Thanks, Don. Don't go away. We'll be right back with director Elina de Santos. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with award-winning actress Elina de Santos, who directs productions, coaches, and casts for film, TV, and theater. Her work has taken her all over Europe and all over parts of the U.S., Australia, where she is very well known. She's directed for so many people. She's the artistic director, though, right now at Rogue's Machine and the Pacific Residence Theater. When you decided to act, you were acting first.
I was acting first, yes.
So did you come from an acting family?
I actually, yes. My aunt, yes, actually. My aunt, my mother's stepsister, was Lorene Tuttle.
Oh, you're kidding. She was wonderful. Don't we all remember her?
Yes, yeah. A Life with Father.
Were you influenced by her at all?
Absolutely, absolutely. From the moment I knew, I was named after her. My middle name is Lorene.
Oh, that's fantastic. And this was in New York?
Yes.
You were born and raised in New York, Long Island?
Yes.
And you went to Temple, you said, and
Temple
Hofstra?
and Hofstra University.
And were you studying acting there?
I studied acting in both Hofstra and Temple University, yes, and directing.
And then when you started directing, like at places like Pasadena and Deaf West, and you were also in the Berkshire Theater and Festival and the Pittsburgh Public Theater.
Correct.
Are all those the same? As far as directing, when you go into those theaters, what do you do? How do you feel?
The only difference is the number of people that are watching.
Is that right? In the audience?
Yes.
As a director, you go in, you feel the same way?
I feel the same way, yeah.
And as an actor?
It's been a while since I've acted. I haven't acted since the 80s, but it's a completely different way. I mean, the wonderful thing about directing for me is that I get to do all the parts.
You get to do all the parts, but
Right.
Do you think that makes you a better director because you know how to do all the parts? Or you did act?
Absolutely. No, I think really if people can take their skill as actors and bring them to the directing, because you understand the essence of an actor.
We talked about all these different theaters. I mean, we can't even mention all the theaters that you've worked in. But say Pittsburgh Public Theater or Deaf West, do you help in the casting part of it since you are a casting director?
Absolutely. In everywhere I've directed, sometimes I'm actually the casting director, but I'm always intimately involved with the casting.
When you're working on the Blue Room.
It's all in the casting.
It's all in the casting, and that's what I wondered. But sometimes a director isn't involved in casting. Very
seldom that sometimes you have projects where somebody's already cast and you come in. But very seldom the director is not involved in at least some of the casting.
But it really depends on who you can work with and how you see the role, doesn't
it? Absolutely. Directing is making up for your casting mistakes.
Is that right?
That's it.
Oh, but that's a tough one, isn't it? When you were in Australia, was it the same?
Yeah. I mean, actors are actors.
A stage is a stage?
A stage is a stage. It's lovely. I loved Australia.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, do they have a different sensibility when they're in the theater?
No, everybody works with the same desire to communicate.
That's what I guess.
It's all about.
Yeah,
it's all about.
I guess that's it. So you're working presently on The Blue Room, which is a David Hare play.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a wonderful play about sex, but people should come for the sex and stay for the longing.
But the longing is you have two people you're directing.
Yes, two people, and they play 5 different characters each in a daisy chain.
So how does that happen? How do they change their character, and how do you change them? Quickly. Do they have physical changes?
They have character work that they do for each different role. The costumes change, of course. There's music transition that takes them into a different location and a different character.
And lighting?
And lighting, of course, yes.
The different lighting?
Yeah, music, lighting, yeah.
And then how do they get into, is that what you teach them, to get into that mood from each character?
I think,
I shouldn't say teach, but
right.
in a way you are a coach.
Yes, I am a coach. I am a coach, and I would hope I bring the the idea and the essence of the play and try to make it clear throughout through their character work and help them develop those characters.
Do you know David Hare?
No, but I've been a long time admirer of his work.
So how does that work? Are you getting over the point that he wants, or do you talk to him on the phone?
No,
or what?
we did actually communicate with him somewhat directly because we emailed him to make some changes.
Oh, so
in
you
the
are
script.
in touch with him
Yes,
in that way.
we emailed him through his agent, but got direct communication back saying
He's in England?
yes,
Is
he's
he?
in England, and we had, because we were Americanizing the script. He says in the beginning, this takes place in any large city. We're setting it in New York. It was done in London and in New York as a London location.
I see.
When
so
Nicole
those things,
Kidman did it, it was London that all these stories unfolded from.
I see. So do you watch, say, what Nicole Kidman did? Do you watch the other plays?
I didn't have the privilege of seeing her do
But,
it.
is
I have met
there-
her, however,
Uh-huh.
and she talked to me about doing the play, which she loved
she
doing.
did?
Yeah.
And do you get any ideas, or does this all come out of your head and what David Hare has written?
It all comes from the playwright.
It all comes
It
from
all comes from him. And then that's the seed of everything.
I see.
And then from that, you have the collaboration with your designers and mostly with the actors because they bring their heart and souls to it. And
So
then
they're
you just help
rehearsing.
shape that.
They're rehearsing all the time, but you're working with the lighting and with the, is there a choreographer involved?
We had a choreographer do 3 steps in a dance.
So
which
that
was
makes
yeah,
people
yeah,
move
yeah,
around a
right,
little bit?
Right.
And the music, so you're a part of all of
All
that.
of that. But I'm at every rehearsal. They're not rehearsing by themselves.
No, but, I see. But when they go home,
Yes,
you're
I'm
still there.
Yeah, right.
That's what I
I'm
was
still
trying to get-
working with
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else, yeah.
And I know we talked about this, and you've coached a lot of stars, and I mean really big stars. Do they come to you for specific roles?
Yeah, in one case when I coached Snoop Dogg, he specifically wanted to work on this movie role he was doing,
I
which was
see.
his first movie called Bones.
I see.
And when I was coaching Eva Longoria, she wanted to be on a soap, and I got her on a soap.
By just showing her
Coaching
what
her,
to
yeah.
do, coaching her what to do. And then you also did work with Josh Brolin.
I did. He
But
was.
what I wondered is
yeah.
if they come to you before they've done anything, or if they come to you after.
Both. I mean, Josh Brolin already was, really quite a lovely, wonderful actor, and people knew him, but not the star he is now. Snoop Dogg, of course, was a huge star, but had not done any film.
Oh, so that's the
And
difference.
Eva knew no one.
Is that right?
She was no one.
How'd she find you?
The casting director who's a friend of mine, Mark Teschner, from General Hospital, called me and said, she's coming in, she's not getting callbacks, she's so lovely and beautiful.
Isn't that nice?
Help her.
Isn't that nice?
And she was willing to be helped. She was so open, and she's as wonderful as she is on any interview. That's how she is.
And then we talk about James Earl Jones, who's a big actor. Mm-hmm. Does he come to you for a certain thing?
I've directed him.
Oh,
I
you've
have
directed him.
not cast him. I mean, I have
coached
not.
him.
I have not coached him.
I see.
No.
But what procedure would you do? What would you do if Eva came into you, or when she came into you? What do you start with? Has she taken acting lessons before?
She had done some work with some people, but she had not worked a lot on anything. And I just took scripts and worked with her on
like that.
how, she would memorize the script. I had a lot of subscripts because I had cast soaps.
Oh, I
And
see.
she would take them home and learn them and come back, and we would work on them and just break them down on how to really with yourself in a character.
So what is important then for a person starting on an acting career? Coming to someone like you, or taking acting classes with a group, or what?
I think that I have one person I'm working with right now, person I coach, and she's doing both. She's coaching with me, and she's also taking an acting class I just started at Rogue Machine.
Oh, I see.
So I think Both is really good. To have someone who can privately work with you and then be in a class where you're doing scene work.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I really appreciate your coming. And I know the Blue Room is at the Odyssey.
It's at the Odyssey. We open March 25th.
Right.
We close
And
May 2nd.
tell us your actors.
The Christina Dow and Christian Anderson.
And it's just two people
Just
who play
two.
5 roles.
5 roles apiece.
A piece.
A piece.
I
10
see.
scenes.
That's
all
great.
about sex.
Thank you.
All about sex.
That's
Thank
why it's blue.
That's right. And it's Place 411, Odyssey.
Oh, yes, I know.
8 o'clock on Tuesday through Saturday, Sunday 2 o'clock.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching. Keep writing to the Joan Quinn Profiles and email me at JAQUINN, the numeral 1, at AOL.com. See you next time.